born and raised in Chicago on the South Side. So this play is a very personal project for me to set there because I'm a fourth generation Chicagoan. And so it was really important for me to be able to do this show with Raven because it's kind of like a love letter. And the vast majority of my family still lives there. So yeah, I'd say it's a long relationship. It's getting kind of serious. They're all either versions of me or people that I know and am related to, but they're pretty much all versions of me, or versions of who I wish I were. So like, you know, there were times where I'm like, oh, I wish I was kind of suave and self-assured like Jimmy. There are times when I wish I were as brash and, you know, carefree as Myrna. There are times when I wish I were as considerate as Della. There are times when I regret being as judgmental as Della sometimes is. So they're all kind of ways of, I guess, exorcising things in myself and also getting to express myself in ways that I would dare not do in my real life. I think that the lead character, Della, she spends a lot of time not being present in her own life. And part of the story of the play is her awakening to her present reality and what's going on, because it's miserable. So naturally, I guess miserable might be too far, but naturally she wants to escape it in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes I feel like for all of us, to varying degrees, we do that. So whether that's a dream, just like an alternate reality, or whether that's a flashback, leaving the present and going into the past when things felt better, even if they weren't better, I think it's a very natural and human thing to do. So I think I wanted to show the journey of a woman who is really steeped in all of that, in either dreaming or flashing back, and then as the play moves on, she really has to wake up. I think the thing about, you know, what historically has been called the Great Migration is kind of odd because no one left the country, but by the same token, North and South were two different countries essentially for a long time. There was kind of an immigrant experience within the same country, which is strange, but it's true. And so I think that, you know, as we have these debates over immigration and what to do about it, I think that we would do well to remember that no one gives up their home, their family, everything they've ever known, their languages, their jobs. No one does that lightly. It's important to humanize it. So when I look back over the play, I hope I captured that. I hope they're entertained. I mean, for me, that's always rule number one. Like, I don't want anybody to be bored. But I think what I hope for, especially because growing up in Chicago, I had never been north of downtown, like my entire first 18 years. And there, Chicago, for all its amazing qualities, can sometimes be a very sort of segregated place. So I think I really, just on a purely practical level, I think I love how far north the Raven is, because I think people will get to understand a whole different culture, a whole different side of the city that they may not have been aware of, or knew existed, but that was just as vibrant as theirs, just as complicated as theirs. So yeah, going back to what I was saying about the play being a love letter to Chicago, I think that can be a cool sort of cultural, anthropological thing. It's funny because people often, the various readings and things that I've done of this play over the years, people have been like, oh, how did you write a marriage so well? And that's not to toot my own horn, but like people just were like, oh, this is a play about a marriage. And for me, I had to realize that it actually, in a sense it is, but it's really about the two separate sides of me. Because I wrote this play well before I got married. So I didn't know what a marriage was. But I do know what it is to have a side of you that's ambitious and wants to go out and, burn up the world. And then a side of you that doesn't want that, that just wants to, stay home and bake. And what do you do with the tension between those two sides of yourself? Like, which one, how do they coexist? What happens when they collide in a way that starts to feel like, oh, we might not be able to coexist? So that's kind of what I was going for.